Home sweet home as the Senators return to Waldorf after a treacherous four-game road trip and welcome into town the most historically successful franchise in the entire league, the 12 and 12 Bethesda Big Train. So glad you can join us on a beautiful Monday evening from Waldorf. Cody Wagner joined alongside Landon Zernhelt. And what a matchup we have between these two. 3-1 the season series in favor of the Big Train, Landon. And this really an interesting season series between these two squads. One that the Senators got off on the right foot. Hard hit right side on the ground. Throw to first. One away. That first game was an 8-1 win in dominating fashion on the road for the Senators, but since it's been all Big Train, most recently the game on Thursday, which was a 14-7 victory for Bethesda. Let's tell you a little bit about the starter for your Senators. That's Jacob Whiteman, the right-hander out of Towson University, a sophomore there. Lays down the bunt, but foul. At the plate is Andrew Williamson in the two-hole this evening for the Big Train. Batting .413 on the campaign, highest batting average on the team. Lifts one foul. A ball and two strikes. The pitch. Runs the count even to Williamson. He's out of UCF. Was .258 batting average with 5 home runs in his inaugural season. A wave and a miss at strike 3. The first punch out of the evening for Jacob Whiteman, and quickly 2 gone in the top half of the first. That'll turn it over to Luke Vaughn, the newcomer for the Big Train. Started playing for Bethesda just this past week. Yesterday against the T-Bolts, he was 0 of 3 and walked a pair of times. We'll try to be the first base runner tonight for the Big Train. The 0-1 offering is bounced near the Senators' dugout, well foul.
The Senators making quick work here at the top of the first.
Vaughn, out of the University of Alabama, had just 9 plate appearances there. Reached on balls twice and struck out 4 times. And you've seen this has been a trend recently where these starting pitchers have been able to provide length for Scott Middleton and the Senators. 6 innings from Matt Hoover this past Friday, 5 innings from Wyatt Bunch on Saturday. But that was certainly not the story last night. Jacob Seek got the start and recorded just 1 out. Pitch misses outside, 2-2. After that, he had to go to the bullpen early. It was Davis Rivers, who was magnificent last night, to say the least. Threw 5 2/3 innings out of the pen. 3 innings north of his longest appearance of the year. Strike 3 called. 1-2-3 they go for Jacob Whiteman. Turns it over to the Senators' bats for the first time tonight on the other side. Glad you can join us on a beautiful Monday evening from Waldorf. Cody Wagner alongside Landon Zernhelt for Senators baseball as we continue in the bottom half of the first inning. A great top half of the inning for Jacob Whiteman. Turns it over to his bats. And to lead things off is Logan Tribble, manning center field this evening out of Wofford College, hitting .273 on the season. We're just halfway through the year. Let's tell you a little bit about the recent troubles for the Senators. Last night, they made the trip across state lines to take on the division-leading Alexandria Aces. Southern Maryland had a huge first inning, Landon, scoring 3 runs off of the starting pitcher, but in the bottom half, Aces struck back, pushing 4 across, and that forced the starting pitcher to have to come out of the game for the Senators. That was the left-hander Jacob Seek. In came Davis Rivers. Rivers allowed just 1 run. A wave and a miss at strike 3 in the dirt. Throw to the bag is in time. 1 away. Well, the first batter Clemens faces, he punches out. Clemens out of the Woodlands, Texas, stands 6'5", 235. Tall right-hander. Has made 2 starts to this point with a 3.11 ERA. Along with that, has thrown 8 2/3 innings, 8 strikeouts, and just 5 walks. The 1-0 is slapped foul. Nathan Brewer batting in the second spot tonight for Scott Middleton. Blasted 3 home runs on the campaign. In the loss last night, he reached in 4 of his 5 plate appearances. And why don't we keep that going? A base knock for Nathan Brewer in the bottom of 1. He's the first base runner tonight for either side. Up to the dish, Carter Groen. And man, has this kid been hot. Was named the Cal Ripken League Hitter of the Week for his efforts in the 4th week of the season, batting .571 with 3 homers and 10 RBIs. And the biggest storyline recently for him was the 2 home runs and 4 RBIs he hit against Metro South County on Saturday. He was spectacular in that one. Grounder right side will get through the hole. First and second for the Senators. And another base knock off the bat of Carter Groen. And the Senators in recent games, they've had no problem really early in games. It's really fallen apart, so to say, as the games have gone along. That's what happened last night. They played very well. Just Ty Harris allowed the 1 run, which was ultimately the game winner for Alexandria in the 7th inning. And then against the Braves, the Senators looked good early before a 12-run 6th inning, and they were just kind of out of contention from there. Put 3 runs back up on the board, but it was a 14-7 loss from South County High School earlier in the weekend.
A big thing we have preached so far this season up here is just talking about consistency. And the Senators have been pretty consistent with having good first half of the game, but not pretty consistent with finishing it.
Yeah, right. That's been the problem. Has largely been the bullpen. It certainly wasn't the case last night. They came through in a big way, but prior to that, that's been the big story of the season. And you saw Jacob Whiteman retire him in order in the top half of the first. Hopefully he can continue doing so And you'd like to think that hopefully he can get good production out of the bullpen once he's out of the game. The 3-0 is in on the outer half of the plate for strike one. Two ducks on the pond for Nate McHugh. He's in at the catcher spot this evening. Lifted out to right field. That'll get down. They'll hold Nathan Brewer at third. All runners advance 90 feet. And the bases are loaded for Southern Maryland. 3 base hits in a row.
And just the
Brings
guy
up
you
Mikey
want to
Guy.
see.
Mikey Guy hit a 2-run shot in the 4th inning this Saturday versus Metro South County. His second homer of the campaign. Clements out of the windup with the bases loaded. Guys hitting .284 to this point in the year. In his second season with the Senators. Actually didn't hit a home run at all a season ago. But has already launched 2 over the fence this year. Quickly 0-2 to Guy. Bouncer to third. Diving and making the stop is Guerrero. Throw to second. They get 1. Won't be in time to first. And Nathan Brewer will score from third. 1-0. Your Senators strike first from Waldorf. Runners at the corners for Silas Boris, who's had a tough time recently. Has struck out in each of his last 5 trips to the plate. Getting the start at shortstop this evening. He's a very talented defender. Scott Middleton at times has questioned putting him in the lineup. Hasn't shown as much production. 193 hitter on the season, but man, can he do it with his glove. And just the strikeout numbers, very concerning for Silas Boris. 20 so far this season, but has also walked 10 times. The 0-2 in the dirt. Runner coming home and unable to field it cleanly is Constable. Carter Groen will score from third and make it 2-0 Southern Maryland. And that's just an instance right there of putting pressure on the catcher. He's got to go and make a play. Pick it up barehand and make the flip to the pitcher Clements, and was unable to field it cleanly. So Groen scores, and the Senators go up 2.
Just the kind of start you can ask for if you're Coach Scott.
Fought off by Boris. And the Senators reeling from a 4-game road trip. And you really got a feel for some of these players, seeing the tough schedule they've got to go up against. They'll play their 7th game in a row tomorrow. Mikey Guy will advance on a wild pitch. After that, they'll get a break for the 4th of July, of course. Will not play on the 3rd as well.
That would be nice for these players to rest their bodies and get some sleep. It's been a long week of games.
Strike 3 on the outer half. The Senators put up a 2-spot. Their first time to the dish. Jacob Whiteman back out on the mound in a moment. To lead off the top half of the second will be Emilio Gonzalez, the 4-hole hitter, after a clean first inning from Jacob Whiteman, who has continued the great starting pitching as of late for Southern Maryland. 2 of the last 3 starts for the Senators have been 5 or more innings with 3 or less runs allowed. Slapped foul by Gonzalez. He's the freshman out of Florida Atlantic, hitting .333 with 17 RBIs. Didn't play against the T-Bolts yesterday. That was a game that the Big Train lost by a score of 8-4, which sent them back down to 500 at 12-12 on the campaign. And it's kind of interesting to see the spot they're in. Historically have been so good as a ball club, but not quite at the standards you're used to seeing them at. Called strike 3 on the outer edge. Whiteman sets down his 3rd strikeout victim of the evening.
Whiteman starting the game 3 for 4 on strikeouts.
Had the ground out from Davin Whitaker, who led things off, has set down everyone on strikes ever since. Chris Diaz, the left fielder, to the plate. Skied out to shallow left. Defenders converging. Boris calls them all off and hauls it in. 2 away.
Back to what you said in the bottom of the first. Boris just makes up for his lack of hitting and his defense.
Exactly, and
he makes a tough catch into the sun right there.
There's a couple guys on this Senators team that are kind of like that. PJ Hughes as well, a guy that comes to mind. Super talented second baseman. Batting average sitting right around 100 for Hughes, but he more than makes up with it with his skills out in the field. Matt Wesley up at the plate, quickly down 0-2. He's a freshman from Virginia Tech, originally out of Manassas, Virginia. 0-3 against the Thunderbolts last night. The 0-2. Line drive deep to center field. Back on it is Tribble. He drops it. He had it on his glove. Wesley hustling around second. He'll be in with a stand-up triple. And an error from Tribble will cause some serious damage. Gives way to the 7-hitter, Jack Guerrero. It's out of the left-handed batter's box, the sophomore out of James Madison. Last night, Guerrero came in off the bench and was unable to record a hit in his only time up. Has a chance to drive in a run right now.
That's
8 RBIs on the campaign. Go ahead, Land.
That's a big triple out of Bethesda as they look to slow down Whiteman's momentum he has going right now. He's just firing right now.
And kind of unfortunate for Whiteman, as you bring it up, is he was dealing, and then the air from Tribble, hopefully it doesn't shake his confidence, and doesn't seem to be doing so. Continues to fill up the strike zone. The 1-2 pitch is well above the zone. And it has been somewhat disappointing to see recently. It feels like they've just kind of wasted great starts. The bullpen just hasn't been able to come through at times. And it is so tough to expect them to be able to do so night in and night out. You only have a limited number of arms, so it's not like once a guy allows a run or two, you can't immediately pull him because you only got so many guys out there. A wave and a miss, it's strike 3. Whiteman sees 4 batters and records 3 outs. Big Train still yet to crack the scoreboard. We'll be back in a moment from Regency Furniture Stadium. You're watching Senators Baseball. Keep it here. After a big first inning, the Senators keep Bethesda scoreless in the top of 2. And C.J. Willis will lead off the bottom half for Southern Maryland. He's the 7-hole hitter this evening. In the first, it was back-to-back-to-back singles from Brewer, Groen, and McHugh. Fielder's choice from Guy scored Brewer. Then a wild pitch sent Groen home. A nice pitch on the outer edge from Will Clements finds the zone. This a huge time to try to recover for Clements after what was a rocky first inning, Landon.
Yes, try to get some of the momentum back going in Bethesda's way.
Shot off the bat and misplaying it is the third baseman, Guerrero. The jam shot from Willis has him reaching safely.
And that's a big hit for Willis, who has struggled on the year at the plate.
Yeah, for CJ Willis, 0.67 batting average. Of course, you don't want to tell the full story with that. Has also struck out 15 times, 6 walks. But certainly a big moment for him. Brings up Ty Smolinski, getting the start at second. A little different for him. Normally plays shortstop, but with Boris there this evening, he gets the start at second. Last night there was a change for Scott Middleton, which saw P.J. Hughes at short, so maybe trying to utilize that defensive prowess of Hughes a little more at the shortstop position. Put Ty Smolinski at second, who has struggled a little more defensively. Makes sense. The 0-2. Slapped the opposite way, but foul. Smolinski just graduated from Bellevue West High School this spring. Will attend Kansas State in the fall. The 0-2 pitch is down and away for ball 1. And Willis reaching on that, we'll call it a base hit, was really unfortunate for Clements, who's been throwing pretty well to this point. Induces a swing and a miss for strike 3. His third strikeout. Rowan Putz was the leadoff batter last time he was in the order, in the 9 spot this evening. Kind of toggles between those 2 spots in the order. Struck out twice before being replaced by Logan Tribble this past weekend against Metro South County. That was the 14-7 loss, which saw Carter Groen blast 2 home runs. The 0-1 offering is inside a ball. Puts also out of Kansas State, originally from Lock Lloyd, Missouri. Hit hard at the first baseman. Gonzalez makes the grab and tags first base.
What a good play by the first baseman.
3 up, 3 down for Clements. He's quickly through 2. 2-0 your score from Waldorf. Back in a moment. Welcome back for the top of 3. Southern Maryland leads it 2-0 from Waldorf. To lead off the third is Cole Constable, the freshman from the University of Maryland, doing the catching duties this evening for Bethesda. got a hit in his only time up yesterday. Came in as a pinch hitter against the T-Bolts. An 8-4 final. That one in favor of Tacoma. The 0-1 fouled straight back. And Landon, this has been the biggest attribute for Jacob Whiteman, his ability to fill up the zone, and that's exactly what you're seeing from him so far this evening.
Yes, even when he's letting the batters make contact on the ball.
Called strike 3. The 5th guy set down on strikes this evening. Jacob Whiteman dealing on the bump.
Even when he is letting the batters make contact with the ball, they're either foul or they're just playable by the defense.
The only batter to reach was off that air by Logan Tribble in center field. It was a fly ball from Matt Wesley last inning that Tribble misplayed off the bat. Up is Landon Franklin. Last in the order for the big train before the lineup turns over. From the University of Kentucky, a freshman there. Hitting .246 to this point in the season. Was 1 of 4 with an RBI last night. Jacob Whiteman, his longest start on the season was 4 innings. Man, does he have a good opportunity to one-up that tonight. Another strikeout looking.
And when Whiteman was spoken to before the game, he had said he was trying to limit the amount of walks that he gave up. And boy, has he done so tonight.
No doubt about that, Landon. Exactly, and rarely has he been even behind in the count tonight. Also is just showing nasty stuff. Has frozen 4 batters who've gone down looking on strikes. 2 set down swinging. 6 punch-outs to this point for Whiteman. Back to the top of the order is Davin Whitaker. Grounded out to second in his first plate appearance. The 2-1 pitch is hit hard to the right side. He'll get down in front of Putz for a base knock. A single for Whitaker is the first hit of the game for Bethesda. And this, of course, has been studied and kind of become commonplace in baseball. The second time you get to see a pitcher, you get more familiar with the guy, and the percentages certainly increase for a chance at a hit. Andrew Williamson went down swinging in the first inning. Well above the zone. McHugh has to jump to corral it. Senators currently last in the South Division at 9-14. They're a game and a half back of the next closest team in the Metro South County Braves. Got on a miss. He struck him out. Whiteman with 7 punch-outs this evening. Senators due up. They lead it 2-0. Back to the top of the order. Logan Tribble to lead off the bottom half of the third inning. Tribble up to the dish. Struck out his first time up back in the first inning. Manning center field had the air in the second. And to Landon, not to be Debbie Downer, but this has kind of been the story of recent games for the Senators. Good starting pitching. The lineup gets going early, but then things just kind of seem to fizzle out. They seem to lose the thread a little bit. What do you think they can do tonight to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yes, I think the big thing is just you can see it in the players when the bullpen gets in and they're not firing as well as your starting pitcher was. You can see the momentum just kill in the Senators' dugout. They're just not as into the game as they are when the pitcher's in there taking care of business like they should be doing.
Yeah,
So if they can have their bullpen come in and at least work efficiently, then I feel like they should be okay.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Of course, improved work from the bullpen is what's needed, but also trying to keep that energy up, even if they allow a run or two. Try to keep the energy up in the dugout so things don't snowball and become much worse.
Yes, it's where it is a game where they're here to win and they are doing this as their job. It's still about having fun, so they can keep themselves having fun and into the game. They can definitely see a result.
There's still 12 games remaining in the season, so the Senators still with time to turn things around. As I said earlier, just a game and a half back of Metro South County. And if they can get ahead of them, that would pretty much guarantee them a playoff spot. Got to keep in mind it is the top 6 teams across the league, not just top 3 in each division. So how it works is the top 2 from each division get guaranteed spots, and then the next 2 best records from there go into the playoffs. How it's playing out so far this season, it does look like it will be the case where it's the top 3 from each division with how the standings look at the moment, but you never know. Crop Dusters baseball sits at 10-13, Metro South County 11-13, your Senators 9-14, and last place in the league is the Silver Spring Tacoma Thunderbolts at 9-15. So a little bit of a standings update for you at home. Runner goes. Hit foul. Seemed like Tribble might have been able to be safe on that steal attempt, but Brewer was swinging the whole way at that center cut pitch. Tribble has swiped 2 bags on the year. Check on the runner. He's back in safely. Senators quickly increasing the pitch count of Will Clements. Cut on and missed. He struck him out. That's the 4th of the evening for Clements. And Landon, how about both starting pitchers? They've been very good this evening. And Clements, despite giving up the 2 in the first inning, has recovered quickly.
Yes, and that's just good baseball. The pitchers come in, they're doing their job. Their defense behind them is doing their job. And the batting is still giving us a show.
No doubt about it. Carter Groen back up, singled in the first. Comes up with a runner on in the form of Logan Tribble. Clements induced a double play that ended the last inning. Hit hard down the right field line. May have been gone if it was fair, but it hooks just into foul territory. Over in that playground area down the right field line. .375 average on the year for Groen. 7 home runs to his name. Hit 3 this past week, if you can believe it. With that, he was named Cal Ripken League Hitter of the Week. Runner goes. Hit hard back to Clements on the mound. He fields it and underhand lobs it to first base. 2 away. Nate McHugh up for your Senators, batting .315 on the year out of Franktown, Colorado. Plays college ball for Boston College. Singled his first time to the plate. Comes up with Tribble aboard. 1 for 5, but made contact in each journey to the dish yesterday. That was, of course, the close loss to Alexandria. Really a heartbreaker for the Senators team. They had opportunities in that game, loaded the bases in the 9th inning, rather the 8th inning, 1st and 2nd in the 9th inning. Just were unable to push anyone across. The 1-1 offering is in at the knees for strike 2. A ball and 2 strikes to McHugh. Transferred into Boston College this year from Iowa Western, where he played his freshman season, batting .341 with 8 RBIs. Constable keeps it in front of him. And we talked about it often early in the season, but just continues to be great experience for these guys. And, of course, a number of these Senators players are disappointed that it hasn't gone better, but nonetheless, at least at an individual level, they've gotten to experience more collegiate play and have individually done pretty well to this point in the year. It's just all about putting it all together, Landon, as he retires the side. 2 strikeouts and a ground out from Carter Groen. keeps the Senators off the board in the third. 2-0, Southern Maryland. To lead off the top of four will be Luke Vaughn, the designated hitter. Went down looking his first time up. And back to the point I was making before the break landed, it's been pretty good individual results for these guys, and to get experience regardless of what's been a somewhat disappointing team effort to this point.
Yes, especially for these younger guys who have not even got to experience a college game yet. They're getting a feel of what it's going to be like going against college competition. And then, especially for some of the kids who aren't even at like the bigger Division I schools, they're getting a feel for what it's like against some of the better competition out there.
Well, Whiteman continues to fill up the strike zone to the tune of 7 punch-outs so far in the game. Roller left side, Boris charges on. 1 away. And it's nice to have guys on the team, especially like Jacob Whiteman and Mikey Guy, who have experienced more of that college ball, and they can kind of teach to some of the younger players, hey, this is what it's like at this college level. And all things told, those younger guys have done pretty well, including Ty Smolinski. Hot shot back up the middle. Obi down for a base hit. Emilio Gonzalez reaches on his first base knock of the evening. That gives way to Chris Diaz, the left fielder. Flew out to shallow left where the shortstop Boris was able to make the grab back in the second inning. Diaz out of Tulane University, hitting .353 this year. Very talented hitter for this Bethesda squad. The 1-0 pitch. Waved at and missed for strike one. And how about Jacob Whiteman tonight? He said one of his keys to the game this evening was going after hitters, attacking these guys, not nibbling around the strike zone as he has done at times to this point, and has executed the game plan pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, it's not always gonna be a best game, but it just really looks like it's clicking for him tonight. And no matter how he ends this game, he should be proud of the way he started it.
And that's kind of been the big thing for the Senators. Lifted out down the left field line and just foul. As I was saying, it's kind of been the big thing for Southern Maryland has been getting these good starts and limiting the walks. That's been the big thing. Even if a guy is gonna hit off you, you can live with that if you're head coach Scott Middleton. Guys get hits. That's gonna happen. It's baseball. Some days it's not your day. But the biggest thing for the Senators team is trying to limit the walks. That was the big problem against Metro South County. Walked 8 base runners in that 6th inning, which was a real problem.
Yes, giving up base hits is, like you said, Cody, it's just part of the game. But walking 8 runners is just basically just giving them free runs. They're not even having to work for them.
Frustrating to say the least for this coaching staff, who has recently given this team a lot of opportunities to win. And for the most part, this team has come through and played pretty well. There's no doubt in that. But it's just been in the big moments they haven't quite been able to inch out victories, whereas teams like the Alexandria Aces, they have. And that's really the difference maker, is those 1-run games, 2-run games, and then you have an inning where you allow 12 runs, stuff like that. That's what makes the difference. Hit high out to left center. Tribble will haul it in for out number 2.
Now batting number 20, Matt Wesley.
Matt Wesley, the next due up, reached on an air by Tribble out in center back in the 2nd inning. Playing second base tonight. Comes up with a runner on. Wesley plays for Virginia Tech. Played 7 games this year for the Hokies, notching a hit in 6 at-bats. Was with the Metro South County Braves last summer, so has moved around the Cal Ripken League. The 1-1. An off-speed pitch in for a strike. Last year for the Braves, he had 4 RBIs with a .283 batting average. Swings through strike number 3. And Jacob Whiteman continues to deal on the bump to the tune of 8 strikeouts and is still yet to surrender a run. Turns it over to his bats on the other side. Well, that'll do it for Will Clements. New pitcher on the bump for Bethesda is Ariston Vizi. Last time these two teams played at Regency Furniture Stadium, Vizi was actually in the lineup as a batter. Is a very talented utility guy for this Big Train squad. Has made 4 appearances to this point in the season. We can officially close the book for Will Clements. Allowed 2 earned runs on 4 hits and struck out 4 Senators batters. The pitch lifted high out to center field. Back on it is Williamson, who drops it. Guy pulls into second with a leadoff double. That'll go down as an E8.
And Bethesda center fielder definitely mad at himself for dropping it as bends over and his teammates go out there to check on him. Tell him to keep his head up.
Perhaps, not sure if maybe the ball had hit off the side of the face of Williamson, who kind of misplayed it. It came right over his shoulder, very close to the body. And I think that might be the case. They're going to go out and check on him. We'll be back in a moment. Glad to have you back with us from Waldorf. They go out and check on the center fielder. Andrew Williamson will remain in the game. Took a ball off the side of his face when going back for a fly ball. Tried to make an over-the-shoulder grab. Unable to haul it in. Brings up Silas Boris, who has struck out his last 6 times to the plate for Southern Maryland. Mikey Guy out at second. Boris trying to get back on track this evening. 21 punch-outs to this point in the year. Has played both the infield and the outfield for the Senators. Played center field back on opening day, but since then mostly the shortstop for Scott Middleton. A ball and 2 strikes to Boris. came in as a pinch hitter last night and struck out his only time up. Vesey allowed that Mikey guy strike out to center field, which ultimately resulted in an error by Williamson. The 1-2 is inside for ball 2. These teams with some pretty interesting history to this point in the year. 8-1 was the first meeting in favor of Southern Maryland. A game that they sort of dominated from the jump. That was on the road at Bethesda. But ever since, the Big Train have won this season series 3-1 with that sole win for the Senators. And Silas Boris works a 6-pitch walk. An encouraging sign for him. C.J. Willis, who singled back in the second. If you'll remember, it was a jam shot off the bat of Willis that went to the third base side. Clemens tried getting off the mound to field it. Guerrero called him off and was unable to play it cleanly. Willis squaring to bunt, pulls it back and is hit by a pitch. Base is loaded for the Senators, and a big opportunity for Ty Smolinski. He went down on strikes.
Now batting, second base.
His first trip to the dish this evening. The Gretna, Nebraska native up in a huge spot. Smolinski reached via an error in his only AB yesterday. Middleton brought him in the 9th inning last night against Alexandria. Came in as a pinch hitter late. Came into that game for Kai Queen, who had made the start at second. It's been interesting to see Scott Middleton, as of recently, has switched a lot of things up. Kai Queen starting to play second base. Ty Smolinski as well has moved P.J. Hughes to short. And it partially does have to do with injuries. The big one to Braden Purser-Eber happened earlier this past week. And it forced Mike Sweeney to have to play catcher on Saturday night, which was a unique spot for him, something that he really hasn't done at the collegiate level. Played some back in the Little League days and spoken about that before the game, but something he's sparingly done throughout his baseball career. But he really did a great job for the Senators. I mean, not many pass balls, and did about as good as you could ask for. Had a little bit of a private lesson from Nate McHugh before the game, learning all the things that he can do, framing, including some other things he learned from McHugh with blocking. And he was pretty good in that ball game, expecting we might see him tomorrow against Gaithersburg. Often it was one day McHugh on, one day McHugh off, and Purser-Eber would catch the next day. It seems like they're going to go more to a 2-on, 1-off for McHugh. Try to limit the days that they have to use Sweeney as a catcher, but it's kind of become a necessity at this point in the year.
Yes, there's not much you can do about injuries, Cody, is part of life, but just the improvising, that's just what coach is doing, and he's probably also just testing it out, seeing what's working, because, like we've said earlier in the stream, the Senators last place in the division, and they're only a game and a half back. So he's just probably trying to find what works to get something rolling.
Well, the third pitcher of the game on for Bethesda. We'll tell you more about him on the other side. 2-0, Senators lead. They've got him loaded in the fourth. Well, the weather couldn't be any better in Waldorf. New pitcher for the big train is Jack Robinson. Stands 6'2", 210 pounds, out of Marshall, Virginia. Attends Roanoke College. The sophomore there has appeared in 7 games to this point in the year for the big train. 3.78 ERA. Thrown 16 and 2/3 innings. 20 strikeouts, just 13 walks. First batter he sees is Ty Smolinski. If you'll remember, Veazey threw the first 2 pitches to Smolinski, which were both balls. So Robinson comes in a tough spot. Pumps in a strike on the outer edge. Smolinski struck out back in the second inning. VZ goes down with an injury. The 3 runners on will still be accredited to him if they come around to score. Lifted left side. Ranging over into foul ground is Guerrero, and he misplays it. That'll drop at his feet and be a dramatic strike number 2.
If you just noticed on the right side of the screen, the first baseman just switched his glove out with somebody in the dugout really quick.
Bases loaded, Guy, Boris, and Willis. The payoff pitch hits sky high. That'll stay in the infield. Franklin underneath and hauls it in. 1 gone. Well, a good first step for Jack Robinson, but he's still got a long ways to go. Rowan Puts next up, grounded out into a double play back in the 2nd. Boy, would that be huge for Robinson right here. Bases loaded, 1 away in the bottom of 4. So glad you can join us on a beautiful Monday night from Waldorf. On the ground to 2nd. They get 1. Throw to first won't be in time. Puts beats it out. Senators extend their lead to 3. And despite a ground ball, Puts was burning it out of the batter's box and able to beat it out.
Yeah, Puts was rolling on his way to first right there.
Logan Tribble, the leadoff batter for the Senators this evening, struck out and walked to this point. Has runners at the corners. Lifts one deep into the left center field gap. 1 run will score. They'll send Puts home. Tribble head to 3rd. Puts scores and Tribble in safely. Senators 5-0 off a triple from Logan Tribble.
And that ball was put in the perfect spot. Both outfielders had like the same amount of run to it.
And man, are these Senators feeling it. A 3-bagger from the center fielder brings up Nathan Brewer, who's 1 for 2 on the evening. Singled in the 1st, struck out last inning. Man, you got to be feeling good right now if you're Scott Middleton. Hot shot up the middle. Able to field it as Robinson, and he retires the side. Senators extend their lead by 3 and go up 5-0 over the visiting Bethesda Big Train.
And Logan Tribble grabs a warning from the ump.
5-0 your score from Waldorf. Back in a moment. Jacob Whiteman remains on the bump. Has allowed just 3 base runners to this point in the game. Man, has he been good tonight, Landon.
Yeah, not to mention the amount of strikeouts he has. He's just been everywhere inside the batter's box tonight, just all over the plate.
Jack Guerrero will lead off the 5th inning for Bethesda. Struck out swinging back in the 2nd. Will look for better in his 2nd meeting with the pitcher, Jacob Whiteman. Productive starts continue for the Senators in the form of number 25 this evening. Slow roller to first. Willis will play it himself. 1 gone. Senators bullpen loving the work out of Jacob Whiteman. Cole Constable back up. Went down on strikes in the 3rd inning. Lifts one deep to center field. Tribble camps underneath. 2 away. Man, has Whiteman been efficient, just filling up the zone, and has worked out thus far. Through 4 2/3, 2 hits for the big train. The last man in the order is Landon Franklin, also a strikeout victim last time to the plate. It's been all Senators to this point. They lead it 5-0. A big bottom of the 4th for Scott Middleton and his guys. They put up a 3 spot there after scoring 2 back in the 1st inning. The triple from Logan Tribble helped to drive home a run. The 2-0 is inside for ball 3. Bethesda has left 3 runners stranded so far. And a 4-pitch walk to Landon Franklin. The first base on balls this evening surrendered by Whiteman. Back to the top of the order, Davin Whitaker singled in the 3rd, grounded out to Smolinski at 2nd in the 1st. McHugh will go have a visit with Whiteman before returning to his spot behind the plate. And Southern Maryland, in recent games, has done a great job jumping out to early leads, but has struggled at times to hold those. Hopefully they can do it tonight. They lead 5-0 in the 5th inning. The 1-0 hit hard on the ground to the right side. That'll get through the hole for a base hit. 1st and 2nd for the big train. A 2-out rally perhaps brewing in Waldorf. Next up is Andrew Williamson, the center fielder, gone down on strikes twice, and Scott Middleton will make a trip out to the mound. 5-0, Senators in the lead. We'll be back in a moment from Regency Furniture Stadium. You're listening to Southern Maryland Senators baseball. Keep it here. So Whiteman will stay on the mound, getting warm out in the bullpen, and stretching out is Griffin Siebel. Not to the point yet where he will immediately be needed. Doing some band exercises. Pitch is off the glove of McHugh. Both runners will advance 90 feet. Second and third for the Big Train. Williamson gone down swinging his first 2 times up. A third opportunity to see Whiteman. The 0-1 pitch is outside to even up the count. 5-0 the lead for Southern Maryland. A 3-run fourth and put up 2 back in the first. Lifted out into the parking lot, a foul ball. Franklin out at second, Franklin at third, Whitaker at second for the Big Train. The pitch, one hopper to short. Boris throws across the diamond to retire the side. Whiteman gets out of trouble and leaves 2 stranded. Scoreless through 5 for Jacob Whiteman. How about his night? 5-0 the lead for Southern Maryland. Jack Robinson remains the man on the hill for the Big Train. Came in last inning for the injured Ariston Veazey. Surrendered a run to his name. 2 went down on the sheet for Veazey. And to lead off the inning is Carter Groen. Senators scored 2 in the first, put up a 3-spot last inning, and continue to look good in Waldorf. Jacob Whiteman has been phenomenal to this point. Not sure if he'll continue, but if he doesn't, man, has it been a good one for number 25. Carter Groen has been hot in recent games. 1 for 2 tonight, singled in the first, which helped load the bases for the Senators. 3 home runs in the past week. hit 2 out of the park against Metro South County back on Saturday. The 1-2 offering. Groen fights it off. A big last inning for the Senators. And you got to keep in mind there was only one base hit, which came off the bat of Logan Tribble. Otherwise, a hit by pitch, a walk, and an error. Swung on a miss for strike 3. The first punch out of the night for Jack Robinson sets down Carter Groen. Nate McHugh back to the plate. Struck out last time he was up. Singled in the first. Was the only man who didn't come in to score that reached base in that first inning. McHugh, a .315 batter on the year. Landon, this Southern Maryland team to this point in the game has looked maybe the best they have all season.
Yeah, they're doing everything Coach Scott Middleton could ask for right now. They're just finally doing what we all knew they could do. They're just proving us right now.
Yeah, when you look at vintage performances, one of them that comes to mind most notably was that 17-4 win against the Braves earlier in the year. But, man, have they been good to this point tonight. Just firing on all cylinders. The pitching has been great. The hitting has picked him up. McHugh, the catcher for the Senators, but no doubt he's got a good bat as well. Fights off another pitch to stay alive. Robinson has quickly recovered from what was a difficult fourth inning. It's also worth noting that earlier in the week, Southern Maryland had a lengthy break getting off Monday and Tuesday. Roller to short. Franklin comes up firing. 2 down. Mikey Guy walks to the plate for his third time. Reached on an error last time he was up. Got all the way to second base off that error before coming in to score later in the inning. Robinson has quickly retired the first 2 batters he faced, and back to the point I was making a moment ago. We'll wait for that as a line drive is hit out to Diaz, who barely has to move a step. 1-2-3 for Jack Robinson. He retires the side. Senators remain up 5-0. Be back in a moment from Waldorf. Glad you can join us on a beautiful Monday night at Regency Furniture Stadium. Scott Middleton will elect to keep Whiteman on the mound, who's been dealing through 5, has allowed just 3 hits to this point, stranded 5 base runners of the big train, and that's been the big story for him. Has allowed base runners as nearly every starter will, but has found a way to not let them come around and score. Allowed a walk, then a single last inning. Left Whitaker and Franklin standing on second and third. Hit foul by Luke Vaughn, who's been 0 for 2 to this point. Grounded out to short his last time up. Struck out in the first. In the designated hitting spot tonight for the big train. Sky high into shallow left. Calling everyone off is Brewer, who will haul it in. 1 gone. Emilio Gonzalez back up for Bethesda. A single in the 4th for him. First pitch is outside, a ball. Gonzalez plays for Florida Atlantic University. The Senators had the real luxury of 3 off days in a row earlier in the week. Lifted out to shallow left. Brewer will make the sliding grab for the second out. What a play in left by Nathan Brewer.
Left fielder number 27, Chris Diaz.
Brewer most notable for his bat, but showing he can do it with the glove out and left. And Whiteman is quickly retired 2 in the 6th. Lifted out to short. Boris brings it in. Quickly 1-2-3 for Whiteman to retire the side. He's through 6, scoreless. Can you believe it? Jacob Whiteman with one heck of a start. 5-0 Senators from Waldorf. Jack Robinson will remain in for his 3rd inning of work. Perhaps head coach Sal Colangelo wanting some length out of him. With Ariston Veazey coming out due to injury, he was unable to retire a single batter. So Robinson perhaps having to fill in for the length of 2 pitchers tonight. Allowed 3 runs in the 4th, 2 of those going down under the name of Ariston Veazey. Robinson had a quick 5th inning. Robinson, still yet to walk a batter, has been able to fill up the strike zone largely so far. Faces Silas Boris, who leads off the bottom of 6, has walked and struck out. Coming into his last at-bat, it struck out 6 times in a row. The 3-1 is down in the dirt. He walked him. Second straight for Boris, in the first base on ball surrendered this evening by Jack Robinson gives way to C.J. Willis, hit by a pitch in the 4th, singled in the 2nd. And boy, has he been great tonight. Something Willis desperately needed, coming in with an .067 batting average. Hasn't had quite the season he's wanted to, but turning it around tonight, it seems like, for Willis. Boris, the shortstop, aboard first, has stolen 3 bases. So not the most obvious threat, but certainly has shown the ability to swipe a bag here and there. Check on him, but in safely is Boris. Scott Middleton has really shaken things up recently in the order. Logan Tribble has led things off tonight, but it's been an offensive onslaught to this point. 5 runs in 5 innings for the Senators, which is something they've struggled to do in recent games. Put up a 5 spot last night, but just wasn't quite enough. It was a rough start from Jacob Seek, who was able to record just 1 out before being brought out of the game for Davis Rivers, who went 5 2/3. Man, was he good for your Senators. The 2-2, runner goes, hit left side, right where the shortstop would have been. Boris will head to third, where he's held up by the hand of Scott Middleton. Runners at the corners for the Senators. Two for 2 is C.J. Willis on the night. Up next is Ty Smolinski. He's popped out and struck out. That was a sky-high ball to short. Last time to the dish for Smolinski. And with a chance to do some damage in the bottom of 6. 2 ducks on the pond in the form of Willis and Boris. The 1-0 pitch is lifted down the left field line and out of play. Smolinski just finished up his time in high school. One of the few players on Southern Maryland that is still yet to play college baseball. Sends one on a rope down the right field line. Scoring is Boris Smolinski on his horse. They'll send Willis home. He'll score. Smolinski in with a stand-up triple. Senators blow it open in the 6th, 7-0. They lead it. And Robinson still yet to record an out. That gives way to Rowan Putz, who reached on a fielder's choice last time he was up in 0 for 2 day. Grounded out into a double play in the second. Infield in with no outs and a runner on third for the Senators. Putz struck out twice in the leadoff spot before being replaced by Logan Tribble this past weekend against Metro South County. Bouncer to third. Guerrero playing it, throw across the diamond, one away. Well, a big out number one for Jack Robinson. Turns it over to Logan Tribble. Back to the top of the order for the Senators. Boy, has Tribble been good this evening. Tripled in the fourth, walked in the third. The way the Senators have played tonight, they have looked just unbeatable. A great start from Jacob Whiteman on the bump, and it has been reciprocated by the Southern Maryland hitting. 7 runs to this point. Smolinski stands just 90 feet away. A shot out to center. Played by Williamson, and Smolinski will have to stay at third. He was off the bag when the play was made. Seemed like it may have been deep enough to score him, but he'll be forced to stay right where he is. The 2-hole hitter Nathan Brewer up for his 4th shot at the plate. Singled his first time up. He's yet to record a hit since. And Jack Robinson allowed those 2 runs, but has been locked down ever since. They'll say Brewer went around for strike 1. Popped out into the parking lot from Brewer. And it's going to be super interesting to see how the bullpen can back up a great start from Whiteman on the bump. That's been what the Senators have really needed in recent games. Pitcher will get past the catcher. And scoring from third is Ty Smolinski. The Senators add 1 more to their lead. 8-0 over the Big Train. Starting to feel like that game back at Shirley Povich, which the Senators won 8-1. The 1-2 is well above the zone to even up the count to Brewer. Despite the loss last night, Brewer was wonderful, reaching in 4 of his 5 plate appearances. And all of a sudden, the count's full. Robinson has walked just 1 batter thus far. The payoff pitch. Brewer gets a piece of it and fights it off. Two gone in the bottom of 6. Senators lead 8-0. So glad you can join us on a beautiful Monday evening from Waldorf. Robinson lets Brewer off the hook. which gives it to Carter Groen. Struck out last time he was up, but singled in the first. And Groen is a real power threat. Leads the team in homers with 7, along with 19 RBIs. Pitch inside to Groen. Grounded out to the pitcher, Will Clements. Back in the third inning, did Groen. Starter Clements went 3 innings, allowed 2 earned. Since VZ allowed 2 off of his arm before Robinson has given up the remaining 4. Well, we welcome back Landon Zernhelt, who was helping out the squad down on the field. Glad to have you back, Landon.
Thank you.
The 2-1 pitch to Groen. Popped foul. Well, Landon, to update you and some of the fans, it's been a big inning for the Senators. 8-0 they lead it. Skied out to center, making the run over to corral it is Williamson, and that retires the side. Senators put up 3 runs and take the lead 8-0 over the Bethesda Big Train. More from Waldorf in a moment. Why not ride the hot hand? Whiteman remains on for the 7th inning. And if he's able to get through it, it'll be the longest start made by any Senators pitcher to this point in the year.
Does the big train number 20, Matt Wesley.
He's left 5 runners stranded to this point. And that's been what has him still in this game. He's allowed some base runners, as will happen, but still yet to score the big train. And this Southern Maryland lineup has more than backed him up. Line drive out into left field. Will get down for a base hit. Matt Wesley with a leadoff base knock to start the 7th.
That one just a bit over Silas Boris's head. He made the jump, just couldn't quite get there.
Back to the dish is Jack Guerrero. Grounded out to the first baseman Willis to lead off the 5th. Struck out to end the 2nd. Comes up with a runner on in the 7th. Guerrero squares the bunt, pulls it back. And Landon, how about Jacob Whiteman tonight? Still yet to surrender a run, and he has been dealing. It was a lot of strikeouts early. Now has been pitching more to contact. Still has been effective.
Yes, and You know, Coach Scott Middleton is more than thrilled with his performance here today because, like we've stated earlier in the game, the bullpen has been what has been the like flu for this team, the sickness, and just Whiteman coming in and pitching 7 innings has made it easy on Coach Scott not having to rely on his bullpen to come in and make those kind of mistakes.
And to already have built an 8-run lead when you can hand it off to the bullpen, right? Most of the times in this season when they've had to go to the pen, it's been just maybe a 2 or 3-run lead. It's nice to have able to build an advantage tonight where you're up 8 runs. Pitch finds the zone for Whiteman, which runs the count full for Guerrero. Whiteman, the payoff pitch. Bouncer to second. Double play ball. They get one at 2. And on to first for the double play.
Now batting, catcher number 17, Cole Constable.
Boy, you couldn't ask for anything better. A double play erases the single from Matt Wesley. And up is Cole Constable, the catcher who's hitless to this point. 6 2/3 from Jacob Whiteman. And he runs in and hits a batter.
Now batting, shortstop number 22.
First hit by pitch
Franklin.
tonight from Jacob Whiteman. Has struck out 8 batters so far tonight, but still yet to record a punch out since back in the 4th inning. Although Landon, it really hasn't mattered. He's been able to get it done in other ways. Hot shot up the middle will get through for a base hit. Tribble misplays it. Throw to the cutoff man, Boris. He mishandles it. Whiteman runs the ball near the Senators' dugout. Will keep it in play. But advancing to second is Landon Franklin. A single and runners advancing on an air. Scott Middleton will come out to the mound. We'll see if he brings Whiteman out of the game. We'll be back in a moment from Waldorf. 8-0 the lead for Southern Maryland.
Davin Whitaker.
Well, for now, they'll keep Whiteman out on the bump to face Davin Whitaker. 2 for 3 night for Whitaker. Has singled twice. Lifted deep out to right field. Puts won't be there to make the grab. 2 runs will score. Throw to second. Won't be in time. Whitaker slides in head first and cuts the lead of the Senators down to 6.
Now batting,
And after 6 2/3,
Drew Williamson.
the shutout evening for Whiteman is officially over. That brings up Andrew Williamson. And despite the 2 runs, Landon, you just got to be satisfied with the length you've gotten out of this kid.
Yes, especially seeing how at the beginning of the season, I know a lot of it was on restrictions put in by the coach, but the beginning of the season, a lot of these starting pitchers were only coming in and throwing 2, 3, maybe 4 innings. So him stretching you 7 innings has got to feel good.
Yeah, it's a real luxury to have the ability to say to these starters, hey, go get me 5, 6, and now tonight 7 innings. It's been super helpful to trying to rest up this bullpen who has been shaky so far this year. It allows you to really go to your very best guys when you have to use the pen. Slap down the right field line and into fair territory. Scoring from second is Whitaker. Williamson with a stand-up double. Cuts the lead to 5, and that'll be it for Jacob Whiteman. Well, what a day he had. 6 2/3, gives up the 3 runs, but doesn't quite tell the story for him. No earned through 6 innings.
As
And
the
finally,
bullpen,
Bethesda started to see him well in the 7th.
the bullpen coming to give Whiteman his props as he comes off the field.
What a game from number 25. We'll have more information for you about the new pitcher on the other side. New pitcher into the game for the Senators is Avery Thielman out of Western Michigan, originally hailing from Kalamazoo, Michigan. A tall side armor for the Senators, stands 6'5", 215. Played for the Michigan Monarchs in the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League a year ago. Both hit and pitched back in high school, which is very common for a number of these star collegiate athletes. Up to the plate is Luke Vaughn, who's hitless so far. Hasn't recorded a hit in his last 6 trips to the plate. The 0-1. Misses above the zone. And for just their second year in the league, Southern Maryland has had ups and they've had downs, but tonight is one of the brightest points.
And you can thank your starting pitcher Whiteman for that, who has gave nothing but light to this Southern Maryland team so far here tonight.
Thielman coming in to lock things down in the 7th. The pitch will hit off the bat of Jackson Giacone, actually the batter. Apologies. They brought him in as a pinch hitter for Luke Vaughn. So he's been the man taking the at-bat for Bethesda. Giacone is the redshirt freshman out of Cal State Fullerton. Struck him out looking. Thielman sets down the only batter he faces. Big Train push across 3, but your Senators still lead by 5 from Waldorf. Aaron Cenaceros on the hill for Bethesda. The new pitcher out of Orange, California, plays for Cal State Fullerton. Makes the trip across the country along with his teammate Jackson Giacone. And a lot of teammates, they often do that for summer collegiate ball. You'll often see guys that play for a college team together continue to play for the same summer collegiate team, so they have some familiarity as they come to a new place. Nate McHugh will lead off the bottom half of the 7th for Southern Maryland. To this point in the game, he's 1 for 3, singled back in the 1st, where the Senators loaded the bases and pushed across 2 of those runs. The 1-1. Hit hard out to left center. Converging on it are Diaz and Williamson. Neither of them will be able to make the catch. McHugh into second standing. Well, how about that to lead off the inning? Nate McHugh hits one all the way out to the warning track at Regency Furniture. Gives way to Mikey Guy, who reached on an error in the 4th. got to first on a fielder's choice. And his first at bat flew out to left last time up. The big train scored 3 in the top of 7, which was the first runs of the game for Bethesda. Senators have put up 8 runs to this point in the ballgame. Pitch misses well below the zone to guy. And this, a dangerous player to be behind in the count to. Guy with 2 homers on the season. Most recently on Saturday against Metro South County. The 2-0. Hard on the ground to third. Guerrero. 1 gone. Silas Boris back up. Has walked twice. Struck out looking in the first. No doubt has a plus glove for the Senators, but has lacked the hitting prowess that has been expected of many of these Senators players, batting just 190 to this point in the year. At least it's big for him that he's been able to walk twice to this point. Out at second is McHugh. Coach Middleton has really got to be pleased with the effort he's gotten out of his guys tonight, Landon.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Hit high to shallow right. Whitaker calls off the second baseman Wesley and hauls it in. 2 down. CJ Willis, a 2-for-2 night coming in to his 4th plate appearance. Was hit by a pitch back in the 4th. Well, a leadoff double for Nate McHugh has seen the next 2 batters retired for the Senators. Line straight back to the screen from Willis. Nothing quite as satisfying as the way Southern Maryland has played tonight, especially after 2 tough losses. The blowout at the hands of the Braves, and then last night, of course, just the devastating loss, a game where they had opportunities in bunches, but just were unable to capitalize. But they've looked phenomenal so far this evening. Strike 3 looking to CJ Willis will bring an end to the inning. Leaving one stranded is Seniceros, and Avery Thielman will be back on the hill for Southern Maryland. Back in a moment from Waldorf. Welcome back to Waldorf. So glad you can join us on a beautiful Monday night. Cody Wagner alongside Landon Zernhelt from atop Regency Furniture Stadium. Back on the hill is Avery Thielman to continue his work from the top of the 7th, where he retired the only batter he faced, Jackson Giacone. Set him down looking on strikes. To lead off the 7th is the 8th inning is Emilio Gonzalez, the first baseman for Bethesda. Has singled in a 1-for-3 night to this point. The 0-1, a wave and a miss for strike 2. And that's been the biggest thing for the Senators pitching staff tonight, filling up the zone, finding strikes. And even when Jacob Whiteman started to struggle, it was hits, which was great to see. Even though it's disappointing as Thielman gets him strike 3 swinging, although it was disappointing to see Whiteman surrender those runs, it's good to see it's not the walks that are coming back to bite the Senators. That's been the biggest thing that this pitching staff has been working on, and it's been seen in spades tonight.
Yes, and back to like what Whiteman said before the game, his main focus was to just cut out a majority of the walks, and he did a pretty solid job of that tonight, only giving up a couple. And you know Scott Middleton is definitely proud of how his starter performed.
Yep, walked just one batter, hit another one. And that was it in terms of free passes from Jacob Whiteman this evening. And Avery Thielman is still yet to miss the zone this inning. The 0-2. Lifted out into the parking lot. Diaz 0-for-3 so far tonight, has popped out to Silas Borisic short twice and flown out to center once. Infield shading to the right against the left-handed hitting Diaz. Hits it the other way. Guy comes up with it.
What
Quickly
a
up to his
play.
feet. 2 away.
What a play at third by Guy. Making the diving catch, getting on his feet in time, and making the throw to first.
And man, when you think Mikey Guy really in the lineup for his bat, that's generally what he's known for. A phenomenal hitter, but a heck of a snag right there. Matt Wesley, a 1-for-3 evening so far. Reached on an air back in the second. And still, Avery Thielman has not missed the strike zone this inning. This is exactly what Scott Middleton has wanted out of his bullpen, and he's getting it tonight.
It's an all-around really good night so far for this pitching staff for Scott Middleton.
That was the biggest story for Alex Angelitis back on Saturday. Really struggled to find the zone. Thielman, the 1-2 offering. Swung on and missed. Strike 3.
And what an inning by Thielman.
1-2-3 they go for Avery Thielman. He's cooking in Waldorf. Senators bats on the other side. Keep it here. Ty Smolinski to lead off the bottom of 8 for the Senators. Tripled his last time to the plate, which drove in 2 runs for the Senators. Staying in the game is Aaron Seniceros to try to keep the score right where it is. Senators lead by 5 as we near the end of the ball game. Avery Thielman with a huge top half of the inning. Retired the big train in order. Smolinski ropes it foul out towards the Legends Club down the left field line. The 1-2. Roller to Wesley. Throw to first, 1 away. Rowan Puts up in the 8th inning. His 4th AB tonight. Reached once on a fielder's choice in the 4th. Grounded out to 3rd last time up. Despite the 3 runs on the board for the big train, those only came after you kind of saw the writing on the wall. Line drive out to left. Over is Diaz to make the play. 2 down in the bottom of 8. And back to my point a moment ago, it was really only once the Senators had built out that lead that Jacob Whiteman had allowed those runs, and Scott Middleton allowed his guy to go a little longer than perhaps maybe he was comfortable with, but you could afford it in the situation.
Yes, definitely. He probably should have sat earlier, but when you're just producing at the level he was producing at tonight, as Coach Scott Middleton, you just got to let him ride as long as possible.
Exactly, and it's certainly situational. If you're in a closer game, you might think about pulling him earlier, but with the lead you had built out, why not? A diving stop by Guerrero, gets up and fires way high of the bag.
Triple could have gone 2, but he'll stay at first.
And he had made the turn towards second base, so quickly had to scamper back to first. Heck of a stop by Guerrero. Knew that time was of the essence, so made a throw as quickly as he could, but well offline. In steps Nathan Brewer. Singled in the 1st, walked in the 6th. En route to a 1-for-3 evening. Comes up with Tribble aboard first. And how about Logan Tribble tonight? He's 2 for 4, and he has really come on strong at the halfway point of the season. He rounds 2nd and will decide against going to 3rd. He was feeling aggressive right there. A funny remark from the Senators dugout, telling Tribble to calm down a little bit at second base. Brewer at the plate. The 1-1 pitch. Inside for ball 2. And Nathan Brewer has perhaps been the most consistent hitter for Southern Maryland. You look at a guy like Carter Groen, at times has been brilliant, but also has struck out at certain times in the year, can provide you real power, but doesn't always come out every game. Nathan Brewer has been super consistent. Feels like he's getting on nearly every game for Scott Middleton. Singled and walked to this point tonight. A 338 average.
Not to mention, he's a very solid left fielder too. He's made a couple catches out there tonight, and he's done it all season so far.
And you're exactly right with that, Landon. It's kind of rare where you see him make the spectacular play. Made that nice sliding catch earlier tonight, but rare that you see that out of Brewer. But is a guy that really isn't going to make any errors for you. Is super consistent. And really doesn't have too many lapses in judgment or play. And the man I was speaking of a moment ago, 1 for 4 on the night for Carter Groen.
With a huge swing.
No doubt that this kid regularly swings for the fences. Just finished up the year at Iona University in the spring, set to attend the University of Connecticut coming up in the fall. Hitting .375 on the campaign for Southern Maryland. Two guys on and a chance to drive them home for Groen. Hammered down the left field line and foul. Looked like it would have had the distance,
And
but just out of play. The power in his bat is just ridiculous.
even when it's not popped up towards the outfield, if it stays down in the infield, it comes off the bat hot.
I mean, and it makes sense when you look at his physique. 6'4", 205 is so powerful. And one of the things he lists as one of his hobbies is spending time in the gym lifting, which ultimately benefits him out on the field. And you see it with the 7 home runs he's hit this year. The 1-2 pitch. Fouled off by Groen. Hit off his foot. Has to walk it off for a moment before he'll step back in the box. So glad to have you along with us, wherever you may join from. Just a great night to be watching some baseball from Regency Furniture Stadium. Siniceros induces the pop fly. Wesley underneath it and brings an end to the inning. Senators leave 2 stranded, but lead it by 5 headed into the top of the 9th. They'll try to close it out on the other side. Avery Thielman remains in the game to try to shut things down for Southern Maryland.
23, Jack Guerrero.
Technically will not go down as a save for Thielman, who's thrown 1 1/3 so far. Came on in the 7th inning for Jacob Whiteman, who threw 6 2/3, surrendering the 3 runs. Those all came in the 7th. Prior to that, he had been pitching a shutout. Phenomenal tonight was Jacob Whiteman.
Stepping up right in his place. Also phenomenal tonight.
The first 9 pitches last inning for Thielman were in the strike zone. He's really going to fill it up as he's doing so to begin the 9th. Leadoff batter in the inning is Jack Guerrero. 0 for 3 night. Trying to erase that right here. Grounded out into a double play in the 7th. Stays alive. Guerrero, the sophomore, out of James Madison. Doesn't have too much college level experience, but is in his 2nd year with Bethesda. Batting average 100 points lower from where it was a year ago. But he battles off another one. Action out in the Senators' bullpen. Can't quite tell who it is, shielded by that left field wall. But Scott Middleton warming up an arm just in case. The 1-2. Lifted out to left. Brewer has all the time in the world. 1 gone.
Now batting, catcher number 17, Cole Constable.
Cole Constable, his 4th trip to the dish, was hit by a pitch last time up. Flew out to center in the 5th. Struck out looking his first time up. Constable has been the catcher for Bethesda. Big Train still trying to battle back into this one. Down 5 in the 9th inning. Scott Middleton certainly pleased with how the Senators have played to this point. Got a great lengthy start out of Jacob Whiteman, which has been the story recently for Southern Maryland. And then what's really needed to pick up is the bullpen play, and Avery Thielman has been about as good as it gets.
There's not much more you can ask for as a coach. Coming out of your bullpen, throwing 9 straight in the zone. It's just all you can ask for. It doesn't get much better than that.
And exactly that, filling up the zone, has been the struggle for Southern Maryland. It was 8 walks in the bottom of the 6th inning, where the Senators surrendered 12 runs to the Braves back on Saturday night. But this evening, no such blow-up out of the bullpen. Thielman keeping things right on track. Count full to Constable. And the payoff pitch. Roller right side. Smolinski's got it.
2 down.
Out number 2 in the top of 9. Hands it off to Landon Franklin, the 9-hole hitter for the Big Train. Trying to muster one last rally for Bethesda. Down 5 in the 9th inning. Senators trying to walk out of Waldorf winners. Hard on the ground to short. Boris comes up firing, and that'll do it. Southern Maryland with the win. Avery Thielman able to come in and lock things down out of the bullpen. Only 2 pitchers needed for your Senators. 3 runs on 8 hits for the Big Trains. And 8 runs for your Senators, who are winners from Regency Furniture Stadium. So glad you could join us on a beautiful Monday evening from Waldorf. 8-3, your final. Senators finally back in the win column. We'll be back with you tomorrow night as the Senators welcome in the Gaithersburg Giants. Your final, 8-3, Southern Maryland.